Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Industrial Development Agency Board meeting. It's a monthly happening. We're a week late because of a holiday on last Monday. So I'm gonna call this meeting to order. The time is
5:05.
5:05 PM. And the first order of business is to welcome and initiate, by that I mean give the oath of office to a new IDA board member who's replaced Larry Sims, who's left the area and had to give up his membership. So Larry, Jim, you guys gonna go to the podium?
Sure, we'll do that.
If you'll move over there and, do the honors.
Okay. Good evening, yeah? Sir. Raise your right hand, please. I, James B. Farley.
I, James B. Farley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of board member of the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency
of the office of board member of the Riverhead Development Agency
and the Riverhead IDA Economic Job Development Corporation.
That's a trick question, isn't it?
Let him read it.
I don't have my glasses with me. And the Riverhead IDA Economic Job Development Corporation, to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Jim, welcome. Official welcome.
Welcome.
You're now a constituted member of the board and can ask questions and offer counsel and certainly vote on any matter that comes up this evening unless it's something old that you weren't here for, but I don't think we have anything like that today. In any case, we'll let you know.
Does he ever know everybody?
Yes.
Okay, I think so.
All right. I'd like to have a motion to consider the proposed agenda. A motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, aye? All right, the proposed agenda is approved. And now I would like to have a motion to recess the board meeting after we've started it.
I'll make the motion to recess.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
And now I'll make a motion to open the public hearing that's scheduled for this evening. Let me have a move first.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, before we start this, public meeting, it's necessary that I read this information. I call this meeting to order at 5:07 PM. We are here this evening to accept public comment regarding the application for financial assistance of the Island International Exterior Fabricators, LLC. I have on file an affidavit certifying the publication of the following notice of public hearing in the December 29, 2018 issue of the News Review as the official newspaper of the Riverhead Industrial Agency, as so designated by the Board of Directors at its meeting of December 4th, 2017.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, for this year. I make the notice of public hearing and the resolution calling said hearing a part of the record of this proceeding of Island International Exterior Fabricators, LLC. Further, I make part of the record of this proceeding the affidavit of Tracy Starton James as Executive Director of the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency, attesting to the service of the notice of public hearing in this matter upon the Chief of Fiscal Officers of the affected jurisdictions as required by the laws of the State of New York. All right, would the representatives of Island Exterior Fabricators, LLC, now step forward and present to the board the application for financial assistance? So if you're gonna do that one at a time, that'd be fine. Who will start?
Ed Holmes for Island.
Thanks, Ed. If you'll, go right to that podium.
Sure.
And tell us, you got your name, where do you live?
I live in St. James,
Very
Long
good.
Island.
Okay. Proceed.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I can see it from here, but we'll give it a shot. So thanks for meeting with us this evening. We titled this our Job Retention and Expansion Project. So part of your request to us, we sort of wanted to give you a brief history of Island within the local area. So of course our headquarters is indicated up above there at the Calverton EPCAL facility. To the left, our design office in Manhattan. To the lower right, our design office in Boston. A bit about local staffing. We're over 200 in our factory currently of trades people in our manufacturing facilities. 50 design professionals in Manhattan, 50 design and engineering professionals in Boston, 50 in our Calverton headquarters office, also housed on the EPCAL property, and about 100 tradesmen throughout the Northeast operating in the field for us. A bit about our history on EPCAL, starting here. Circa 2000, where we started collaborating together with the town, Island began operating out of these 3 buildings. There we still house our current headquarters and management office, and we started producing out of the hangars to the left and right of that building. Shortly thereafter, the property known as 705 David Court was acquired and was made part of the Island manufacturing facilities. We do continue to operate out of that facility. I'll show you a bit about that shortly. Shortly thereafter that, what we called Facility 707, which some of you have seen, which is actually attached to the property known as 1101 Scott, was built. That was the first building that Island had built on the property. It's a purpose-built hangar and facility, particularly focused with the work that we continue to produce out of that factory today. Shortly thereafter, Jeff, maybe you could help me with a year here. This was 2014? 2013, 2014. This is the complex known as 400 and 401 Berman Boulevard. It's comprised of sort of four structures, 401, 400A, 400B, and 400C. There we housed our advanced processing. That was Island's first step into continuing to source our materials out of this campus and our local facilities. So in fact, we stopped importing quite a bit of goods from Canadian manufacturers and overseas manufacturers for our aluminum cladding, steel framing, and window assemblies. And then just a short while ago this year, in 2018, we picked up under lease, which is the only property above that is not owned by Island or one of its affiliates, the property we call 393 Berman. That facility is now set up as a sort of purpose-built curtain wall manufacturing facility, which was previously housed here in 705 David. 705 David housed what we call 4 production assembly lines. We've now essentially quadrupled that by adding another dozen lines in the 393 property. So while still having 705 David online, we're now also processing out of 393. So that's a bit about our history on the campus and the facility. All told, I think we measured at about 350,000 gross square feet of factory and about 55 acres of property.
The properties on the bottom left, were those existing structures?
So these were all existing structures on the
Right.
property. This was an existing structure on the property.
Right.
Excuse me. This was an existing structure on the property, as was 393. So this is actually leased as off from the Mavilla complex.
Right, okay.
So this was everything was existing, with the exception of what we call our 707, which was the sort of the purpose-built
Okay.
facility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So a bit about the facilities. This is that purpose-built 707. We call this our mega panel production facility. Here we operate between 4 and 5 assembly lines, depending upon project architecture, design, and processing methods. This is one of the hangars attached to 1101 Scott. So this was essentially the first hangar that Island began operating out of back in 2000. This is the first property sort of off that initial campus at 705 David Court, which we refer to as 705. Again, this is currently an assembly facility. This is 400, what we refer to as 400. You would know it as 400 Berman Boulevard. So this is that campus on the lower right corner of the map, which buildings were existent already that we purchased. 400C that we're seeing here is our window assembly. This is there it is again. Some of our men in 400. This is 401, which is our cladding processing facility. This is one of the products that we were importing quite a bit from a source in Canada, which is now made locally here in Riverhead at EPCAL. And the very proud guys that make that product for us. This is the latest addition, what we refer to as 393, so 393 Berman Boulevard. Here we house our new 12 custom curtain wall production and assembly lines. The assembly lines essentially are serviced by the 400 complex, which if you remember from the map, were essentially directly across the street. So while we much prefer to own, develop, and build and operate from buildings that are owned, given the current sort of shortage for this available type of space, this was a move that we decided to make, and is in fact a strategic one. It keeps us in the park, keeps us in Riverhead. Those are our men in that factory. So within these factories, they each have their own sort of purpose processing and automation and CNC equipment, whether it's plasma for our steel, milling machines for our aluminum, extrusion processing machines. Again, much of this CNC and automated processing work we've taken in-house to EPCAL instead of outsourcing it from other parts of the world. This is some frame assembly in the new 393 factory. Glazing of glass, sealing of the units, cladding of the units. That was a recent project at Columbia. And just to give you a 2-second sampling of ultimately what those images ultimately produce, this is the Bloomberg Center. Some of you may be familiar with it on Roosevelt Island, designed by a world-renowned architect, Morphosis. The building is one of the first net zero academic science and technology buildings in the world. Net zero means it's essentially passive in terms of its energy consumption. This was a special project at September 11th Memorial and Museum downtown at the Trade Center. So here Island did all of that custom specialty stainless steel work that you see on the pavilion entrance. This was the Public Safety Answering Center, which you saw on one of the assembly floors. This building near Westchester essentially houses all of the emergency response for the tri-state area and houses it within one bunker-like building, which after September 11th was determined to be sort of desperately needed to support the tri-state area infrastructure and emergency response. Also designed by a famous architect, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill from downtown Manhattan. This is the Barclay Center in Brooklyn. If any of you have been to a basketball game or excessively loud rap concert, you may have been there. So a bit about what we're here to talk about and what we're requesting. So essentially what we did is took our previous campus plan and outlined the things that we'd like to request this evening. So starting with the property in the sort of upper section, what we refer to as 1101 Scott. So if you remember, here is that purpose-built 707 building, which was the only building on the property that sort of Island and team built our request and intention is to build a sister building to it, just to the left here, where you see my arrow pointing, and to also request for sort of supportive outdoor storage surrounding that area. And we also see the need for additional parking in what is now what we call the front triangle on that property. So the requests here are both related to the capital expenditures that will go out for the improvements to the property, as well as some variances that will be requested with respect to density and lot coverage. The 400 complex, so this was the first mention, I believe, in the letter, the 60,000 square foot proposed addition. The second was the 30,000 square foot proposed addition. The additions, by the way, are in red, as noted in the key plan in the upper left. This is the second 30,000 square foot addition to the property known as 400 Berman. And we've also indicated a request for additional outdoor support storage for both raw incoming materials that have yet to be processed, as well as stored goods ready for shipment to our clients. This is the 393 property, 393, I'm sorry, and I believe you know it as 347, in fact. We refer to it as 393, so our mail doesn't go to 347. But this is 347 Berman, what we refer to as 393, where we are seeking outdoor storage and sort of logistical support in front of the building, as well as much of the available front property for storage of raw materials, some additional parking for the men that will work in 393, men and women, as well as the storage of materials here in the end lot before they are outgoing to the projects that we service throughout the tri-state area. A bit about community impact and what we see as community impact. Retention of over 300 sustainable jobs within the area, and the creation of an additional 80+ sustainable jobs. We use the word sustainable, which we think is an important word, because oftentimes we hear about job creation through a construction project, but oftentimes what's not said is that those jobs go away shortly after the project is built. Our business is quite different, in fact, and the jobs are sustained. And part of our intention for being here this evening is to sustain those jobs. Continued local salaries within our manufacturing facilities of over $20 million annually. Continued investment, training, continuing education, and improvement programs for those tradesmen and our staff. Support of many local community businesses. We strive to do as much business as can be done locally. We're big believers in the sustainable business being kept within the markets that support us, and in fact returning that support in exchange for theirs. And of course, reinvestment of millions of dollars of capital back into the facility expansions and improvements. What the ask is, so there's essentially 3 tiers of this, most of which is a bit repetitive. But with respect to 1101, we're requesting full abatement of real estate taxes for a period of 15 years. Mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption on our improvements, approvals of the additional outdoor storage and parking, approval for the 60,000 square foot addition, and parking again is repeated in F, sort of classified parking and outdoor storage together. For building 400, it's much of the same. Again, real estate tax abatement for a period of 15 years, mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption on the improvements and equipment that we are proposing to put into the property, approval of the 30,000 square foot manufacturing space addition, and approval of the additional outdoor storage and parking for the additional employees. For 393 Berman, abatement of the taxes for 15 years, sales tax exemption on the additional improvements and the equipment, which we do plan on continuing to bring more equipment into this facility, and the approvals for both outdoor storage and parking needed to support the the increases in staff. So why this is necessary? We find ourselves in quite a challenged position in what has become a global international market. Our competitors come from Asia, Europe, Mexico, South America, and Canada. We find ourselves with a bit of a disadvantage with respect to our cost structure, both in terms of the cost of employment, even insurance in the state of New York. But we also find ourselves with over 200 very loyal, dedicated tradespeople that we would like to continue to keep and work together with in Riverhead. The cyclical economics of our industry are quite challenging. We're coming off of a multi-year boom, and a boom that I think all of us would agree is likely the longest in recent economic history. But really, to plan properly, we need to plan to be competitive in a market that becomes more competitive as that economic wave turns down a bit, as it inevitably will. And much of this, as I said, is about sustainable growth and sustainable employment, and taking care of the people who've taken care of us, and maintaining their employment throughout those economic cycles. And the last part, of course, we can't find another building to buy or lease on that property that is suited for what we'd like it to do. If there is one, we'll gladly look at it in the morning. Jeff will look at it in the morning. But we found ourselves in a position that in order to continue to expand, we really need to purpose-build these spaces for the growth that was outlined. And that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, or you carried the whole thing?
I tried to carry the team, but you know, if
Well,
anyone
we'll-
wants to add to
Probably
that,
we'll get
please.
them in at some point in time. but
Sure.
Questions. Thank you. And at this point, let me ask the board if you have any questions or observations to make to Alan.
You had mentioned, supporting local companies in your business activities. Can you give us an example of the types of, entities or concerns that you've been supporting in your activities thus far?
Sure. So I think the edict, you know, is to support locally and buy locally, whether that's the hotels that we house our guests in, or office or staff that circulates between our offices, whether it's the local delis that, you know, we bring the luncheon from, to bigger business. Bigger suppliers within the area that we look to achieve a price point that we can buy at from them, even like a Riverhead building, Marjam, these sorts of folks that we can support. Equipment providers and suppliers we look to support. Local subcontractors, which there aren't many of, but to the extent that there is a subcontractor that we can partner with, whether it's to come in and do work at our facilities, a local electrician to come in and set up all of the new production lines at 393, even a local trade subcontractor, Haley and Donnelly, you know, one of the few subcontractors right up the road, believe it or not, that we actually take into Manhattan and into New Jersey. So trying to build and maintain relationships within the local area to the extent that they can be. There are many things that, you know, obviously cannot be found in the immediate vicinity, and for those, you know, we need to go where we need to go for them. But to the extent that they can be found, we work with those people.
Okay, thank you. And I know that you also mentioned that you've been proactive in finding a qualified workforce. I know that in our discussions, we talked about some of the things you're doing with the Department of Labor and getting together some training. Can you speak to that at all?
Sure.
Because it points to the opportunities that even people who are not currently qualified or at the level that they could potentially get employment, that you're setting up that opportunity for them and
Yeah.
giving them the skills, right?
So in fact, you just said it, right? There's not 300 or 400 people locally
Right.
that know how to build a curtain wall or a mega panel. But very soon, there's gonna be about 300, and very soon after that, depending upon the outcome of this meeting, there'll be about 400. And it really is coming from the training programs that we've put in place. We have a partnering program with men that we have been in our employ for quite some time, that we partner, excuse me, the new tradesperson with, for that training. We also do quite a bit of continuing education training, whether it's on our CNC equipment or other methodology that's used on the floor. So in fact, it is a ground-up approach. It would be not practical, not realistic for us to expect to find hundreds of people that know how to do what we do. But if you track our numbers and you look at the results and you look at the people we had a few years ago and the people we had when we made our application and then the people we even have currently today, you'll see that the training is in fact quite effective, and we're looking to create opportunities for all of those people that come in. And they don't come in at a level and find themselves at a ceiling. I mean, the whole business is built on the mantra of, see where you can push yourself, and we'll see where we can push you, and we'll see where we can get together. So it's that same mentality that has taken us to where we are. And I would say employee retention is quite high. I mean, if you look at the employee in the factory, there's quite a bit of term guys that are there. And to the extent that there are many new employees and new hires, of course, those numbers will come up as well. But we look to retain and grow together. That's been the model, and it's quite successful.
Very good, thank you.
Something to add to that?
Don't forget to introduce yourself, Jeff.
My name is Jeff Robinson. I live in Stony Brook. We have also partnered with 2 local colleges to provide additional staff members. One, Stony Brook University. We work with their engineering program and their manufacturing program to bring in local people. We've also just started working with Suffolk Community College, who has a manufacturing program, to work on a training program with them where they can utilize our facilities, we can utilize their staff, and a partnership to increase our labor force.
Anything else from the board?
I do.
Hmm?
From the I have
Yeah, let me ask a couple of questions, and then you're next.
Yes.
I may have not heard this. Did you present your products, place your products outside of the U.S.?
Do we present them?
Yeah, well, if you take on business that's outside of the U.S.
We're looking at other business within North America to produce our products for. Perhaps what you heard was we have quite a bit of competition from overseas competing in the
Yes.
local markets. 95% of our business is serving the Northeast from Boston to Philadelphia.
Are you in any way affected by the recent round of tariffs?
To the extent that they've caused sort of some disorganized chaos within the commodities market, anyone that's buying steel or aluminum is affected by this. It certainly hasn't helped our price point locally, in that obviously we are subject to the metals cost within our local market, which of course domestically is the United States. Some of our competitors outside of the country may not see some of that same cost of goods impact. There is a global impact on some level, but being within what would be considered the tariff zone, so to speak, there is more of a direct impact, yes.
Anything else? Tracy?
Within the application, we have an addition of 25,000 square feet noted. Just could you explain the difference between 25 and the 30 and why that is where it is?
I think I wanted 30 and Jeff only wrote 25 in the application.
So there are some hurdles with getting the 30, is that correct?
I think there may be slight hurdles with the 25 or the 30, right?
With regard to building?
With regard to zoning, available density, perhaps some setback issues. Is it all the above, Jeff, or? Yes.
You good?
Yes, and just for the record, perhaps Jeff could just do a little background picture about how we started this over about a year ago and worked with the state and the county and,
Very good.
and it's their intent to assist you as well.
Right, so, close to a year ago, we contacted Tracy. We also contacted the Empire State Development Agency, asking for assistance to, expand here in Calverton. We were looking at a facility in Pennsylvania, we looked in New Jersey, we found one in Pennsylvania, and, the cost, benefits of moving to Pennsylvania were significant, somewhere around $4 an hour just for labor, times 400 employees, it adds up. Figure $8,000 an employee, $3.2 million just for the labor force, then reduce taxes, additional help that those facilities, those states would provide. So we were looking to reduce our cost structure. We found a great way to do it, but we wanted to expand here. This is where we grew up. This is where we wanted to stay. We worked out a deal with the Empire State Development Agency that was signed in June. We spoke to Tracy about when this facility at 393/347 Berman Avenue, when that became available. Actually, Tracy brought it to us. We spoke to her about leasing that facility, and we put a provision in that lease that we were leasing it under the assumption that we would receive some type of support from both agencies. So we proceeded to lease that facility, and I can tell you that we have hired a substantial number of employees since that time, so we've already moved forward towards this plan that we presented to you tonight.
And just, for the public record, this will likely be done in phases, given that the 60,000 square feet is, probably much farther off than the 25,000 square feet, as far as securing the properties and the buildable area.
That's correct. So the 25/30,000 square foot addition would be to support both of our lines of business, which is the curtain wall and the mega panel business. The expansion of the mega panel business would have to be done with that sister building, that 60,000 square foot building. So the 25,000 square foot building would be really for the equipment and some a workforce in there, but the majority of the workforce would be in the 60,000 square foot facility.
I have a question. So where are you with the 25 to 30,000 square feet? You said, it seems like there's some barriers there, there's some setback issues. Who's working with you on resolving that?
So we're working with the planning board, and we've hired architects and engineers to try to get us through that process, but we're going to ask for help through that process. It is a detailed process.
Hope it goes smooth.
We're about 2 years into it now.
Anybody else from the board? Tracy? Okay. Now, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a statement or ask a question? Okay. Come on forward. Good evening. Let us have your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Larry Brown. I'm representing the Manorville Fire District. My address at the district is 14 Silas Carter Road in Manorville. On a personal note, just walking away from the district a little bit, I had 9 years working up in Grumman's myself. I know this facility very well. My father had 39 years there. My brother worked there, and my grandfather worked for Grumman's and Bethpage, so it's sad to see that place disappear, and I'm glad to see a company like this come in and do manufacturing there, so I'm pleased with that. On the fire district side, we're concerned about anything that would, taking our tax dollars away. We represent 2 townships. We represent Brookhaven and Riverhead Townships in our fire district. So if you're looking to take any money away from us on that side, it puts a burden back onto the Brookhaven side of our township. Just in regard to alarms that we've had up there, we've had some automatic alarms, water flow. Some of these buildings are old that they've taken over. It's just not Island, it's other companies that are up there. A lot of systems are old, they're being worked on. We have been working with Fire Marshal Zidek on a lot of issues up there. One of our biggest complaints is Island is so spread out that when we get an alarm, it comes back into like one building, and we're chasing it all over the place. And so Fire Marshal Zidek and us are trying to work with the alarm company to get this narrowed down, because we'll go to one address and they'll say, oh no, it's this building way over here. So it is a little bit of an issue, and hopefully we can work on that. Just talking about outside storage, again, we had worked with Zidek, Fire Marshal Zidek, with the car storage that was there previously. We needed to have access to be able to get in between the vehicles in case there was something. They just had everything so tight. So if we're looking for outside storage, the fire district and department would look for access rows. Hopefully they would work with the fire marshal on that, so we would be able to get it inside. One other issue, a couple other issues we see is just the site itself of the Berman area. We've been in contact with Zidek again, and Police Chief Hagemiller. Stop signs have disappeared up there. People don't stop at intersections. There's speeding in there. We've gone in there for alarms, and people just don't stop. Police Chief had said that it hasn't been turned over to the township yet, so he's trying to contact back to the owner and see what they can do. But that's another thing that we're looking at. And that's all we have to say at this time. Thank you very much.
Anyone else from the audience? Anybody come up with any other questions? All right. In that case, I will declare this hearing closed.
Motion to close.
Oh, yes. Let's make a motion to close.
I'll make the motion to
Thank you.
close.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
5:42.
So we're closing at 5:42 PM. And now we're gonna go back to the, regular Industrial Development Agency meeting.
I'll make the motion to reopen the meeting.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor, aye? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you're doing
Thank you.
up there, really.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying here.
Gentlemen and lady, I'm sorry.
5:43, reopen, regular.
Okay.
Thank you, Lori.
So, as you know, this is a rather involved operation, when you look at all the buildings and the things that they do. And some of us had an opportunity to look at it firsthand, and it's truly quite impressive. So, we're gonna spend a lot of time doing a lot of, research, not research work, but, thinking about, how we can aid this, company, if possible, together. And then at some point in time, well, there's a question I forgot. Are they being Island, are they ready they have all their material in?
For the application?
Yeah,
Just some minor clarifications, but for the
Okay.
most part, they've submitted everything.
okay. Great.
I'm concerned about that 25 or 30,000 square feet. I mean, they're making this effort, and this has been a 2-year process, and I don't know, it's in planning now, but I don't know.
Well, as you're aware, many of the issues they're facing are zoning and town agency-related issues. We can certainly assist as a liaison with the town, and perhaps Jim can help, push things along. there are some exceptional requests that they are asking for, you know, we
That
can,
go
the
beyond
board,
us
right, the
and
board
what
could
our
provide support,
abilities are.
but we don't have any authorization over that.
Yeah, I'm just curious, you know, what, that's.
Talking about the outside storage and all that.
Yes,
I would
really,
hope that
it's not just
town would
Island either.
fast track it.
Yeah.
My feeling is I would hope that the town would fast track this for these people.
Well, we've been in contact with the supervisor's office, they have been in contact with
Is this
any agencies.
within the economic development zones that we were talking about?
Actually, yes,
And when I just read something by the supervisor of the town, she said that they would fast track and push these
for the opportunity
issues
zone,
through.
projects.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what the
Yeah,
problem is.
she's been, pretty involved with this, but, government takes, maybe Jim can speak to it more, but.
Well, it's complicated
very
by the
complicated,
fact
yes.
that the Wild Scenic and Recreational Rivers area runs through this property, and it's, there are pine barrens issues, it's not a one-agency
Yeah.
decision, it's a, and the town has been making progress to negotiate a way to move forward.
You know, one thing I would say is if, you'll remember that the Island Corporation said that they were really interested in looking at other states, in particular Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And, they tell us, and we have reason, a good reason to believe it, that they would get nice packages there, and they'd get a lot of prices that might be lower than the prices that we're used to here on Long Island and the metropolitan New York area. However, the town board and its agencies, and especially the Industrial Development Agency, has really stepped in, thanks to Tracy and our supervisor, in getting involved in this, and I think are partially responsible for somewhat of a change in the position of Island, that would really like to stay here, but we need to make it economically feasible. So that's one of the things that that also has been in there, and it's a new issue, because frankly, I didn't know anything about Island, I'm sorry to say, probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half. And I had no idea how big it is and how much of an industrial engine it is for this area of the country. So, my 2 cents.
Well, we had assisted individual projects like the 400 Berman Boulevard and initially with bonds with Cal 81, but they were all separate projects. We're sort of putting it all under the one umbrella now. As they grow, they're restructuring a little, and they're trying to simplify this animal as it blooms.
Right.
And keep them here.
It's worth a tour over there.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fascinating, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, perhaps I could arrange, Tony, you didn't get to go on the
Right.
tour, and Jim,
And I'll go again.
okay.
I loved it, that's great.
Avoiding his toys, huh?
He liked the lunch.
We had lunch that day.
No,
We had
no,
a-
I don't think anybody.
And
They were willing to give it to us,
The
but
guy
we were-
from Manorville
find out
is
from Jeff.
absolutely right, none of us could find the place, even using Google Maps, I mean, they said we have to fix,
It's-
they, not them particularly, but that area
Or
needs.
if
And
it's-
we can talk
Right.
too.
might not-
I went around in circles for a while.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to our agenda. We have, another group anxiously waiting to come on up here. And we're gonna have a presentation by the Long Island Aquarium and Exhibition Center / Atlantis, that's what we know you by, most people know, it's Atlantis you're talking about. So, who's gonna start?
Could you, motion to approve the agenda?
Oh, I gotta,
No, we did that.
We
You
did
did?
it.
Oh,
We
I'm
did
sorry.
that. We did that.
Was that Lori and
yeah,
Tony?
we're fine.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all you wanted.
I
You
missed
wanted-
it.
You wanted to
I
know
got
who was
too much
first
going
and
on.
second.
Here or there?
Oh, here,
No,
up here,
sit.
that's fine. How many
Presentation, we wanna be
Grab another
comfortable and
chair.
together.
Come on, guys.
So, we'll find enough chairs.
All right.
Brian, can you grab that, there's another swivel over there.
Oh, you again?
Pleasure, really.
Hi, Joe.
Before we have it?
Okay. Enough chairs here. So tell us, what are you fixing to do?
thank you for seeing us, we appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
That was a nice presentation, good to see industry like that coming. Today, with me, I'm Brian DeLuca, I'm the Executive Director. Ellen Bissett-DeGieri is with us, she's our attorney on retainer. Of course, she's related to the Bissett family, has always been very involved with us, and she's staying on with us on our continued growth. Mr. Petroselli, I think everybody knows Mr. Petroselli. Joe's with us today, and Steve Schauger, our local high school graduate from Riverhead, always happy to say that. Today we have a pretty simple request, and I'm gonna give you a little summarization of what we're looking to do and accomplish, and hopefully this board will support us. As you know, we're the largest tourism economic contributor to downtown Riverhead. We really provide a world-class aquarium and education facility, and we provide a home for a non-for-profit rescue center, and the overnight accommodations for travel and tourism. We have multiple eateries, we have a full marina with people visiting through transients coming by boat to downtown Riverhead, and I would say we are the economic generator the town expected us to be. We have an unwavering commitment to the town of Riverhead. Joe's been building multiple businesses on Main Street. We're creating and maintaining jobs. We're supporting the rescue center. We restored 3 historic buildings on Main Street, 3, and in tremendous disrepair. We have staff on our organization that volunteer their time to this town and this commitment to supporting the town. Steve is the president of the bid, and I will say he's been doing a fantastic job. I don't think anybody would doubt that. And there's been some great events happening through the bid. So Steve is the president of the bid, and Danny, our food and beverage director, is the president of the Rotary. He's a Rotarian. I think he wears one of those buffalo hats sometimes at those meetings.
He looks good in it.
He looks good in it. That's how we can find him. And myself, I'm on various committees, downtown revitalization, parking district, I was on the BOA study, and of course, Art in the Park, which I think we had tremendous success. I'm not sure if everybody made it to this. Thank you, it was phenomenal. We had a great core group, and I think we hit it out of the park and striving for more grant money, working with Dawn on that. So we are committed as a group of people to continually support Riverhead. We're here today to request a sales tax exemption. The rising operational costs on utilities, healthcare, insurance, wage increases, a deteriorating building are all impacting the business. The proposed project has 2 parts. It's the purchase and implementation of a combined heat and power unit as a CHP, combined heat and power unit, and an absorption chiller and cooling tower to chill the aquarium tanks, along with energy efficient pumps, HVAC, some roof repairs, and general building repairs. The second part of the proposed request is the renovation of the Hyatt hotel rooms, lobby, and the Seastar Ballroom catering facility, which is a very minor portion of it. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've done research between fuel cell technology, solar technology, and CHP. We looked at different grants, incentives through NYSERDA, Energize New York, rebates from PSE&G, and was fortunate enough to have the Department of Energy do a free study for us, for our facility in particular. Provided all of our utility bills, gas, electric, and they were able to determine that CHP was our best choice, really for energy efficiency and ROI on the equipment investment. The majority of our tanks required chilled water, and the current electric chillers that we have are maxed out. We had 3 at one point running the cooling about 80 tons, and we are, they're expensive, and one died on us, and we didn't replace it because the hopes was to get the CHP unit in. So they are at their max running, and everyone knows those peak demand charges you get on your electric bill, and it's costly for us to run those electric chillers all day long. So we're cooling tanks that are sitting outside. The Sea Lion pool, the Seal pool are outside, 80,000 gallons, 60,000 gallons in the sun all day. So we're continually, cooling them, it's required for the animal's welfare. So the CHP runs on natural gas. It would be the primary cooling source, not any longer requiring the electric chillers. The electric chillers would be the backup for us. So we would have duplicity, which is important for us in a standpoint with the animal welfare, but the CHP running on natural gas is really the best path for us. CoEnergy America is the company that we've retained to provide the engineering analysis and CHP equipment to support our tank water cooling needs. The CHP unit is an engine. It's called a MAN-German engine, and it creates heat at the end of the day. That's what the engine does. And through an absorption chiller, or an osmosis process, the absorption chiller takes that heat and converts it to cold water. And then we have holding tanks and cooling towers that we keep the cold water in. We will also use the balance of the heat on the building. We will use it as a secondary heat source for the hot water heaters for the dishwashers and hot water heaters, domestic heat, overhead radiant heat in the back rooms and so forth. So we will really maximize and utilize that CHP unit to its fullest. The engineers go through all the studies and provide all that data. In addition, we have an aging building that's in a harsh salt air environment, and it's like a battleship. It keeps rusting. We're in a process now repairing some of the piers of the building, the structural piers. They're so rotted, we actually have to encase them in cement. We can't even repair the steel anymore. So the aging building, the salt air environment is challenging. Some of the requests in the items that we'd be looking for is also variable speed pumps. So all the life support pumps run 24/7, 365, and you got a 10-horse pump. They're expensive to run, so variable speeds would help us with that. HVAC equipment, roof repairs need to be done, and then medical equipment for our animals. Our veterinarian needs have been off-site. Our veterinarian comes in, and if the animal needs care, the animal goes to the veterinarian's office. We don't have a surgical room. But we made some changes, and we would like to create a treatment space for the veterinarian. The animals are getting older, they're getting larger, they're harder to transport. One of the sea lions is 380 pounds. A lot of fish, but also. So in order to maintain our facility, these are really critical things that we need to do. Financial assistance from the IDA will help us ensure that the buildings remain in good repair and run efficiently, and we can continue to run a world-class facility with attractive exhibits and provide public education. To help ensure that we continue to bring tourism to downtown Riverhead and meet our Hyatt brand hotel franchise contractual obligations, we'll be doing a full renovation to the hotel lobby and rooms and the banquet center. The current project is being implemented by Atlantis to make significant improvements to really phase 1 and phase 2 of what we would say is still fragile tourist destination that is so critical to the economy of downtown Riverhead. Therefore, it's our request that the IDA board integrate this current project into the overall multi-phase Atlantis development plan by granting Atlantis a sales tax exemption for these renovations. Providing this financial assistance will facilitate the continued development and improvement of the site, which we in turn contribute to the continued revitalization of downtown Riverhead. Again, requesting a sales tax exemption. I understand there's a public hearing on January 7th. In order for us to continue in this endeavor, we would hope that this would take under consideration and get us into a public hearing mode. Okay, I'm not sure I'll have a nice PowerPoint like the last guy, but it's effective.
Do you have any projected savings by adding?
Certainly, yes.
In that new cooling system?
Yeah, so essentially, the unit is about $1 million for the unit. There are rebates with PSE&G, so the company that's been doing all the analysis, and we have to meet a certain criteria for PSE&G if we qualify for a rebate. We're looking at about $180,000 to $200,000 savings a year on our utility bill. Our utility bill last year was $680,000.
Sounds like
And it's going up. So basically, as I mean, you know, I've been digesting these numbers now for quite some time, but it's been going up a penny a kilowatt a year, essentially. This unit's gonna produce 250,000 kilowatts for us. It's basically gonna handle 1 meter for the most part. We have 7 on the property.
The aquarium meter.
Is it noisy?
No, it's, so basically, it's, custom built, it's in shipping containers, 2 shipping containers, I think it's 20 by 8, there's two units.
That's on the
They
southwest side of the
insulate them,
building.
and they put all the equipment in, so they build them off-site in Massachusetts, and they basically deliver the containers, we put them on a pad, that's already, you know, we move some of the, sheds that we had in the back, right by our loading dock, and it would sit right there, tie in right into the electrical panel, right into our emergency panel, so we have a couple things,
Got gas lines there already?
I was gonna say,
gas
is
line is there, so, National Grid, we've had to, get them in the loop on this communication because of the amount of gas to BTUs that we'd be using, and the source of the gas, that's the size of the line, which is, I think it's a 2.5 inch line, so everything is there, ready to be connected.
So they're aware of your load?
They're aware of our load, yes, so they've actually,
And
you
they
know.
can handle it?
Yes, they can handle it. So recently, I would assume you may know, they put a 15-inch line all the way Flanders Road and it came down. So, I think the east end is essentially, underserved by Nat Grid, so they are well aware.
They're redoing all their lines in Riverhead right now.
Yeah, so they're well aware of our load requirement. And we have letters from them that they can support this, which is required, you know, by the steps that we're taking to make this determination.
You mentioned that the output was heat, and you can use that, of course, they use that for purposes within a building. What do you do in the summertime with the heat? Can that be converted to?
Still converted.
So either way, it all gets converted, it can get converted to chilled water. So the summertime is where then that would be the maximum usage would be for the chilled water. In the wintertime, when this is I'm not worrying about taking that outside tank
Yeah, right.
when it's 90 degrees out, now it's 30
So you like
overnight.
that,
So
yeah, right.
so then we would end up using the heat for the heat purposes instead of converting it through the chiller process. Yeah, so it's, you know, again, you know, even having a Department of Energy study, because every salesperson wants to sell you something. You know, George Hochbruckner, I love dearly, but, you know, when he was working with the fuel cell company, it was the best thing in the world. But, you know, at the end of the day, had some challenges. A little disappointing with NYSERDA because we don't, you know, Long Islanders don't qualify for a lot of the funds.
Yeah.
You know, and they really, I mean, you know, I wrote this very heartfelt letter of, you know, we have the rescue center, we have an education facility, and they were looking to make an exception for us. But the upstate guys fought us, and they didn't wanna give any money downstate for grants.
Right.
And it's, you know, we don't pay one tax, out of the 22 taxes that we pay, there's not one tax, one line item that we don't pay, so we don't qualify. And that's, I guess, a governmental legislative thing, but, so NYSERDA can't help. And then Energize New York wasn't a terrible, big help. PSE&G has put a rebate on the table.
And some incentives, they have some eco-dev incentives for new load.
Yeah, it's just a matter of meeting the energy efficiency,
That
which is
must be right.
all,
Yeah.
you know, analyzed out by the engineers at the Cogen company, and then PSE&G reviews it too, and they make sure that everything looks like it makes sense on the usage. Median temperature and and they went back day by day, hour by hour for 2 years and looked at our utility bills to ensure that, you know, we would meet some efficiencies. So that's where that number comes from.
So when was the, aquarium building built and when was the Hyatt building built? Just so I know.
So the aquarium was built in 1998, 99,
About 2000,
opened
yeah.
in 2000, so.
Okay.
But we're
And the Hyatt,
2011, July.
2011?
So when you know, you talked about the steel structures degrading, they're rusting, so how, if you surround those with concrete, how long do you think you can keep those alive?
Maybe another 7 or 8 years.
Then what do you do?
We gotta do the next repair, more concrete, more steel. But a lot of this is the older building too. Remember, when we first came here, we took over, Riverhead Building Supply.
Right, you really have that public building.
So that's the older building, you know, newer buildings experience the same fatigue, but, you know, we're salt, we're all about salt. Salt is everywhere, in the air, outside, we're just HVAC units,
It's inside?
it's everywhere, yeah.
Can your current steel be sandwiched with new steel and then?
Yeah, well, there's all
becomes-
different, we can plate, but it's easy just to encase it.
Yeah.
Put, we have piers already, so we just bring them up. But,
Some, you know, pump leaks like your pool or something like that, and then that standing water just, it sits, and it just gets it right at the ground level, so, we've plated it, we've welded it, but.
it's a constant thing.
Encasing and steel is it, and we have, in the off-season, we have a maintenance guy just goes around and paints all day like a battleship, he paints
It's
everything,
a non-stop thing.
he sleeps with a paintbrush, I think.
Well, yeah, hopefully graphene will be in play in 8 years, who knows?
Maybe.
You know, but also I know Brookhaven is working on a paint right now that is salt resistance, Brookhaven Labs, so hopefully for the same reason. I have another question, the tanks, when you're storing that water outside, right? And it's heating up in the sun, does the manufacturer, does anybody recommend that you wrap it with anything to like, I know like in wine processing, they use glycol sheets. Is that an option? Is there any that might help you
For the
guys?
cooling tower itself,
Yeah,
for the,
well-
for the,
For the tanks.
For the tanks, you said you have what, 80 gallon, you have water in the tanks, right? It's heating up and you need to cool it down.
Well, it's heating from, it's just solar, it's heating,
Right.
but,
no, so the water in the tanks is salt water, and what we have is we have heat exchangers that the filter runs through, so that water is not the water that's going into the
it's like a
tank
plate,
itself.
it's like your radiator in your house, your hot water heater in your house, you have a boiler, and then this, the hot water heater circulates through, we do the same thing, so we need to really keep our water consistent temperatures, it has to maintain.
We can't have a 5-degree swing, because we can kill animals.
You can't fluctuate.
Right, so, no, I understand, so the tank is heating up in the sun, right?
Now we're
And-
bringing new cool water in.
Right, so, and you need to keep the tank, the water coming in at the same temperature. I'm just curious, okay.
Are you talking about like a film on the glass or something to
On the
prevent?
tank
Most of our
itself,
tanks are buried.
That,
already.
okay, there's
Ah.
my answer.
They're underground.
Okay.
We put, tents over them, umbrellas over them, we try everything. Sails we put over them, just shade. Shade means is 5 degrees for us.
Yeah, we have a geofield, we probably have one of the largest geofields, at least in Suffolk County, and unfortunately, the field, which the water temperature 20 years ago was coming up 52 degrees, and that was a great dependency for us. Today, that water temperature is 98 degrees, 100 degrees, so,
Can't use it.
so what's happening is, and even now, the engineers go and speak about the geofields, and every now and again, we'll make sure we chime in and let them know that there's some challenges. So they encased all those tubes that went down 80 feet, 80 feet, and there's
220.
220 of them down there for the Earth's temperature to keep that chilled water.
Which is, what, like 58 degrees or something?
Yeah. So there was like a grout around each of those pipes. Over time, because we had such a high demand for chilled water that we never let the system get a reprieve, and we kept sending the warmer water back, and it it got insulated.
In 2000, it was a
Never had a
pretty new,
chance to cool down.
pretty new science, the
Right.
geofield. No one really, our plans were literally on a napkin, because there were no scientists that really never understood the geofield. So we brought guys in from Montana at that time. So that whole, evolution's different now. You don't really see a lot of geofields going in.
little louder.
So we're hoping actually to put a separate manifold on this with the engineers here, and in the wintertime, when we don't have a high demand for that chilled water from the CHP unit, send it back to the loop that's in the ground, the geofield, and help recover the geofield. So then we have another purpose for that. So, that's to be determined.
Windmills don't work.
That's to be determined, but that's another plan of action to help reprieve that geofield. But the CHP unit is a critical piece for us, for utility costs and the welfare of the collection.
Your non-for-profit side, what area of Long Island is that cover? Cause I see it, I see it on the news every once in a while, you're rescuing, a mermaid and
Yeah.
Brooklyn or something, but
Yeah, I
that's-
do those personally. That's just me, thank you, thank you.
But what,
No, I already got the mermaid.
So, you know, I'm gonna tell you the unfortunate thing is that, and Ellen's on the board and she's, probably much more well-versed than myself, but, it's funny that you ask, what do they cover in Long Island, cause they cover New York State. They are the only authorized facility to cover New York State, so if something happens in the Gowanus, which is, you know,
We get
a
the
toxic,
daily event.
yeah, but there's been dolphins in there, something happens in the Hudson River, something happens anywhere in the state of New York, the Rockaways, Montauk, that team right out of that building goes in the truck and goes out, whether it's cold stun turtles, seals, dolphins, so, that team covers the state of New York. And, that's a sizable task and a very costly task. And, we've been, fortunate to be able to support them with about a 15,000 square foot building, with tanks and a whole hospital, and $90,000 a year, along with a 4x4 truck. You know, that's becoming taxing on us as well. And, there's some dynamics, the contract is actually up with them in 2019, July of 2019. That was something that was negotiated, the town board, asked Jimmy and Joe to absorb the Riverhead Foundation when they were the bidder that won the aquarium. So that property was already, not on the tax rolls, from the town owned it, and basically, I'll say pawned off the Riverhead Foundation, strategically to the guys that were very excited to build an aquarium, and they're facing their struggles financially, because they don't really get any help from NOAA and very little help from DEC, and they rely a great deal on, contributions through grants and the public. And, when that slows down, it's troublesome.
And I'm sorry, you said that expires when, that contract?
Next year.
Next year?
Next year.
So, I mean, that's a heavy lift, I mean, basically to continue that, so, and.
It's a huge struggle, and that's another big meeting.
Yeah, no, I could imagine, I mean, that's,
There's a good history on the IDA website of Atlantis,
yeah, just.
Yes.
of the project.
So that's a big hurdle coming for us, but that's
Yeah.
another day, right, Ellen?
Right, well, there's 15,000 square feet, as Brian said, that's a lot of space.
Yeah, it is.
And
We give them that
it's
rent free.
old, and it's, in need of a lot of
Deteriorating.
repairs and maintenance, which Atlantis has been critical in providing assistance to the foundation.
All right, so what do we need to do next?
Well, since the benefit they're asking, which is the sales tax relief, we don't need to change any of our underlying documents, which is good news. It should be fairly easy to grant their request if you wish to. But it's more than $100,000, so you need to hold a public hearing. If the board is amenable, we would put that notice in the paper.
The 17th,
We
next Monday.
need to get it to the paper by Monday, so you've got your draft in, I know, of the application.
Yes,
and-
they have pretty substantial amount of
once-
the application, and I just didn't wanna flood you with it.
So we'll use that information, and if the numbers are gonna change, please, make them high, because we would rather tell the public a greater benefit than a lesser benefit, so we don't have to go back to ask for a greater benefit later on. So, you know, if your estimates are not finalized, use your good judgment. So we'd be in the paper on the 20th, and a hearing on the 7th, and then, subject to what the board hears that night, anytime after the hearing, you're in a position to,
Thank you.
grant their request.
Counsel.
They had asked about whether they could order things, as long as you don't pay for them. You can, no doubt, have the exemption. Some vendors won't let you, ask for the money back, then you're into a proceeding before the state tax commissioner, and that never seems to go easily, so. So that's what, if the boards have a mind to give us, authorization to put that in the paper, we then ratify that publication at the meeting before you hold the hearing.
So where are you on that, Tracy? From your experience in putting together the necessary stuff to public.
Actually, it doesn't really call for a cost benefit analysis, because
Okay.
it's just the sales tax,
Mhm.
that they're requesting, so it's, as far as applications go, it should be simpler. And they've submitted almost, and
So
there's the
it's-
fi-
it's really-
that's the simpler
This is the
app that I
simpler app.
found.
Hey, you guys got off easy. You see the one within your report.
Sure.
You should see Island.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
right.
simply a request to revisit the prior application for IGA assistance by expanding the amount of, the sales tax component.
It'll be a new sales tax exemption because of the way sales tax is reported. They had
A period
concluded
of
the period
time.
of time
Right,
that they were
okay.
eligible, so it'd be a new eligibility period. It'll be a new sales tax agreement, which our sales tax agreement has changed over the years.
Yes.
So we'll get you that, of course. It's gonna be an amendment to the, organic documents, which, we'll discuss. I'm hoping very little in the way of what we have to say, but the agency is intimately connected to their project through the ownership of the facility, the pilot that's in effect. All of this will be accomplished before any of those documents would run their course. So we don't have to, go back to that step. That's why
But on the it would be included on their current project in the Paris as an additional benefit or, an extension or,
Right, okay.
I forget what the term is they use on the Paris itself.
Okay, is the board willing to say yes to a public hearing?
I'll make the motion to set a public hearing.
Thank you.
at the next
second.
meeting.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay,
Any nays?
no. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, or?
Okay.
No,
What have you got?
We'll support you as much
I
as
got some
we
other
can.
issues going on.
But,
How far along is
what
the
an exciting
second
operation.
building, next to Preston House?
The Howell House?
Yeah, the Howell House,
Howell House?
which is
That's
not
hard to-
induced by the IDA, but
The Howell House, that was, the Howell House.
That thing was, I thought it was gonna fall down.
Yeah.
it was
You're
falling
doing
down.
an amazing job.
Hey,
in
thanks
there.
for doing that.
Yeah.
So we'll put an elevator in the back,
I don't know.
Oh,
so we'll have,
think most people
4 stories availability. And we're looking to do, a wellness type.
Elevator in the back of the Howell House?
They were thinking about you.
I'll need it. Go through the town, I'll probably be
On the
needing it
outside.
by the time it gets done.
North side. So those permits are due any day.
It's only 2 stories, right? 2?
Well, it's
It's
the
4.
basement,
Oh, the basement.
and there's 2 floors, and there's an attic space, which is very
Oh,
large.
that's right, yeah.
it goes down to the secret tunnel.
Does it have interest to the other building?
No.
Okay.
You could probably do that, though.
But you probably
You
could.
probably could do that.
The easy way out is.
So there is
Don't
somebody,
think that far ahead, I put the gas line right.
is there somebody interested in the building instead of wellness center,
Um,
possibly,
there's some different,
entities?
but nothing that we're gonna.
Well, it's large enough to put a few different things in the
Well, that's why we just did the whole outside, the envelope, and we're gonna leave that inside too.
Building inside the suit, yeah, right. Well, the elevator certainly gives it access to just about anything.
I love the front porch.
The front porch of Preston or the front porch of Howell?
I want the
That's the
4th floor.
original
That'd be-
front porch.
Yes, the
Exactly.
front porch of
Yes.
Preston
Little
is
closed in.
beautiful
The Howell House.
for the holidays.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
came out
It
nice.
is
Yeah.
beautiful.
I don't know about that East Lawn building though, it's a little plain.
We'll be over there tomorrow. You know, we're always a
doesn't
little
match
late
the
on that
property.
building. That's the oldest building, it has to wait the longest.
They're gonna drop off a box
Between
of
the Preston
decorations.
House
Yeah, which is,
On your
I
front
do
step.
everything else.
Actually, Georgette's gonna do it for me.
Oh, is All right, well, thank you
Well,
so
we're
much.
finished here, thank you.
Okay.
It's always good to see you, and gentlemen, wish you well.
Thank you, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Right. All right, next I need a motion to consider and approve the minutes of November fifth, 2018.
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Who did
Yeah.
that? Who did that?
Tony, and then I second it.
All right, any discussions, additions, omissions, deletions? All those in favor, aye? Okay. Thank you, the minutes are approved.
We'll talk.
Tracy, do you have any correspondence?
None.
Okay. On to the treasurer's report. And, our treasurer, Bob?
Now, I have did we make the move before I did the report, did we move money into?
Not yet. We had requested that she come with, documents for this meeting so everybody could sign, and, she wasn't available. I'm sorry?
She wasn't available?
No. And to get everybody, we're gonna need her to come to us to get the board to sign, so.
This is the bank representative?
Yes.
Yes.
And does she need everyone at the same time, or?
No, but it's Southampton. I mean, if you wanna drive over to Southampton and
No, I
sign
mean,
documents.
she can't leave the document and gets
Yeah,
notarized?
we're working on that.
Okay, alright, just curious.
But the
Alright.
money hasn't been moved?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
I'm a notary if it helps, if you want me to
Okay,
bring
yeah.
something, whatever.
So, the cash balance in the People's United Bank checking account as of November 30th, 2018 was $303,786.10. Revenues for the month of November 2018 included interest earnings of $8.61 and a $500 transfer of administration fees from Riverhead Economic Development Job Corporation. Job Development Corporation. Expenses, paid for the month of November total $34,895.88. Get a motion to approve the, treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second? Any discussion, questions? All those in favor, aye? Anybody opposed? Okay. That resolution is passed. And we're on to committee reports. This time we have none. Is that still correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No.
Old business.
Can't take me anywhere.
No old business?
No.
Okay. Now we're on to new business, and this is a 5 resolutions to do official stuff that we do once a year, is that correct?
Correct.
We do this in an omnibus motion?
Yes.
Good. Well, if you've, had the opportunity to look at each of these pieces, they're, pretty much, what they always are, but we need to make sure that we're okay with them and approve them. So I'd ask for a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion to, approve resolution 64-18 through 67-18.
Thank you.
I'll
Second?
second.
All right, second. Any discussion, are we okay with this?
Yeah, just one thing.
Bank,
Yeah.
bank.
On the,
these are 22.
the meeting notice schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
I had a question, March 25th versus March 4th, and there must have been a holiday, and I don't know what could be in March, and why I would have put that. Oh, no, the March 25th, do we wanna add a March 25th automatically? We typically have to approve,
Paris.
the Paris before April 1st.
And that gives you
That's
two
a
more
si-
weeks to work on.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Cause we always wind up changing the date or pushing or adding a date,
Why is it?
so I'll just add it in there, as
Right.
opposed to calling a special meeting.
Exactly, and then if we have to if we don't need to
Right,
meet
we could
twice
just
in that
cancel the
month,
meeting.
we don't
Mhm.
So
have to.
should we just, should we include
I will-
that in this resolution, that we're gonna add it in, so that for
It's
the
there.
record?
Yeah,
Well, ask that question.
This is the Economic
Yeah.
Development Corporation.
So we'll
I got the wrong one.
add them both
yes,
in the
okay,
official schedule of our meetings, yeah.
correct,
So included in our resolution is that statement.
yes,
It's already included.
yes.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Those resolutions are passed.
Who was the second, I'm sorry? Lori and Bob?
I think it was.
Oh, Anthony,
Tony,
okay.
all right. On to the executive director's report.
It's pretty quick, because we had two workshops, it was such a busy month. And, we had the manufacturing symposium, which was very well attended, and I wound up sitting on the panel at lunchtime and plugging, of course, Riverhead, and, the panel was about the Long Island IDAs and how we work together regionally. Which I did a shameless plug, of course, for the Opportunity Zone workshop that we were having in cooperation with the town of Brookhaven, which also, I think, went very well. We had about 100 developers, investors, property owners at the, Opportunity Zones workshop. We live streamed it and videotaped it.
It was written up in Newsday today?
Oh, it was?
Okay.
Oh, very good.
Should've been.
I didn't even see it yet. And, we will put that on our website as soon as I get it from the, media group.
Oh, good.
And also the supervisor would like to put it on channel 22. So, I think it went well. You attended and Bob attended. I don't know
Yes.
if you have anything else to add.
Yes, I do. Our executive director, and Dawn Thomas, who is the community development
Director?
agency director, they put an awful lot of this together, including the brochure.
Yes, we did a
handout,
brochure as well.
one of the handouts. And it was well done. The speakers know what they were talking about. Well, they should have, they're pros at it, but anyway. And, it's a powerful thing. We're fortunate, in my opinion, to get some of those opportunity zones.
Yeah, to get two of them, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The
There's
blanket,
there
the
wasn't that
coverage
many
area
around, right?
is very large. It's the largest.
Yeah, it is.
And, yeah, could create quite the busyness around here.
So, we've definitely gotta look into this, as does the rest of the town, and I think that, the other group that, well, I'm gonna speak, to Jim in a minute, or about Jim. I just left that to last because I wanna get through this meeting. But anyway, we need to really think what our position will be in this as the industrial development agency of the town of Riverhead. And we wanna do it in such a way, is that we do things that we're good at, which is a lot of this, but we don't want to duplicate efforts that are being made by other agencies or entities in the town. For instance, Jim is also on the, what's it called, revitalization?
Revitalization,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's part of what they are doing for downtown. So, that would be one, the, Dawn Thomas operation, community development, she's on that too, right?
Yeah, Dawn's on that
Yeah.
committee as well.
But
That's right.
still, we have a lot to offer, and we wanna get involved because it's part of our mission to do this. And then we have at least two others. One is, what can we do with the rest of EPCAL that isn't, already encumbered with rules about birds and animals and fish and other animals too, and other reasons for restrictions. What's left and what would they be best? Our efforts as a town to get people who have the wherewithal and the interest to consider them. The third item is a little bit behind probably, but all of you have noticed that, Route 58 is losing box stores. Not that fast, but it certainly isn't something that's gonna recover itself, in my opinion, and a lot of others' opinion. And while that's a little bit longer range, this town has to decide, well, what are we gonna do with that? You wanna look at a bunch of vacant buildings on Route 58? Or is there a way to, including zoning, to make it a different story out there someday?
58 is not in the opportunity zone, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's
South
right,
side,
it's
just
right
the
up to
south
the
side.
edge.
Right, exactly.
The southern edge, I understand.
The south side of it.
Yeah. So we're gonna address that and see how we can fit our way in without, as I say, duplicating. I had a conversation at that with, at that meeting, the Opportunity Zone meeting, with, Councilwoman Catherine Kent, who is, chair of that, is that correct?
Downtown revitalization, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a liaison to that.
okay, the liaison, of course. Then we talked a little bit about this, and she's very interested in our getting involved on that basis, which is not surprising. So anyway, when the new year rolls around, we'll put together a seminar for ourselves and, see what we can do. And, you know, you could probably come up with 20 different things, but the idea then is to say, okay, what would be the most important, 1, 2, or 3, or whatever number you want, so that you narrow it down to where you could get the most bang for your buck, so to speak. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I didn't mention during correspondence, she reached out to me immediately following the Opportunity Zones seminar to have the board meet with the downtown revitalization, and I told her I need to speak with council about the board all being
Yeah.
together, and I asked what the agenda would be, so I could provide council with information on what exactly this meeting would be, versus maybe, and I reminded her that Jim was now on the board, a couple of them coming to the IDA board meeting to have a discussion, so that's where I left
Very
off
good.
before I went for, I just got back from being out of town, so.
I think the revitalization committee right now is primarily focused on, the DC one zoning,
Seems like it.
discussion. At least that's the impression I have. There are a number,
Certainly the impression I
there's a
got.
couple of other subcommittees, but I think most of the work's being done by, Jeff in the planning department.
Yeah, it seems the direction their direction really is about downtown Main Street at this point. I'm sure they're
Yeah,
gonna
it is.
expand to other things.
Yeah.
Which might be actually an important matter as, the agency with regard to the height restrictions in downtown, we may not have similar views on their proposal. So is there draft legislation?
It changes daily.
Okay.
I know they're trying to get this on for the first year, which is not gonna happen, but, for a public hearing, it's not gonna happen that quick, I don't believe.
And is it focusing on the south side or all of DC one?
No, they're looking at the whole DC one zone, which isn't
Wow.
really, I mean, but I think they're really, the push is towards the south side, as far as height restrictions.
Right,
And then maybe an increase of height with TDRs or other elements for the north side, which is not, it's not a bad plan.
I mean,
I think, you know, well, you're on the committee.
no, I can ask Jeff, I'm on the subcommittee with Jeff, I can ask Jeff if, right now, I think that draft
I have the last draft.
has been pretty widely circulated.
Yeah.
He's not actually, I asked him just yesterday, he's not actually making amendments to that draft. What he's doing is soliciting comments from every kind of source of light, if you will,
Right.
around town.
Right.
So, this board, as well as other boards, could still be consulted to,
Do you have a copy of the last draft?
I do not.
okay,
Well,
well, I
give it
can,
to you.
I
have it on
might,
my-
it might
I
have
it
come
on
in
my
over the
desk.
last couple days.
Tracy, I can send it over to you, no
Terrific.
problem. I think, cause Jeff's definitely circulating it around, so that I don't
Well,
think
the
there's
town
any.
board has it.
Yeah.
I have it right on my desk.
Yeah.
so.
Tracy, I think it's important that they do meet with us, because I see real impacts.
Yes.
Oh, there's,
Yeah.
right, there's a
Coordination.
lot of impacts, not only IDA, but also through, even, there are some people even in the farmland committee and that are wondering how this TDR is gonna be structured and whatnot. And I have concerns about that because, well, I think we should use TDR differently. I think we should use TDR to purchase property on the south side. But that's the whole thing.
Well, that's an interesting point.
I think we should create our own sending and receiving in our own district and utilize it for purchase and open space on the south side, but that's just my opinion.
All right, well, some words about, our newest member, Jim Farley. It's all good. So far. As you know, I'll just remind you real quickly that, we do our own thing. We're really an independent agency. We always try to cooperate with the town board so that we're speaking out of the same hymnal when we can. The town board, however, does decide who will be on this board. So they have the appointment authority. And they also have the ex-appointment authority, if you will, I guess. Anyway,
This term limits, I guess, right?
so we also made sure that the new town board, the new members, knew that it's been customary here for very good reasons that the IDA be involved in the selection of those members. Because we have we're gonna live with these folks, and we wanna get the best person for the job, and we know a lot, for obvious reasons. So, the town board has agreed to that, Laura, the supervisor, and, the rest of the board. Of course, Councilor Wooten has always been on our side. He's the closest thing we've got, because he's serving his second, I was gonna say sentence, but no. It's better
Sentence
than
on
that.
as
It's a good
liaison.
thing. And he knows that this is an organization that works extremely well for the good of the town. It just takes a while when we get to the point where you cross the abatements and the tax keep coming in as it should at a higher level. So, when the two people from the town board did their interview process, they came up with a shorter number of candidates that they thought were good. Now, I got access as the chairman of this board to all of the resumes that came in, and then the supervisor and I talked about it. Those were three that she had on her list, and Tim Hubbard, who served as the other member of the board, who was on the nominating committee, the interviewing committee, I would say. And I told them who I liked, and it agreed with who they liked. And that was, I'd never met this man, but he had quite a resume, so he just looked like the kind of person that we could use in this board. So I said I gotta meet with Jim myself.
Oh, you're talking about Jim?
This,
Oh.
not this Jim, I know you. Jim Farley.
And I couldn't meet with him, so we got Jim.
Well, you'd been a worthy candidate for sure. So anyway, I got an opportunity to talk with Jeff Farley. I'll use the last name for now, so he's quiet. And I figured, that's about a half hour to 40 minute meeting, and we talked for over 2 hours. And because it was such a good conversation, Jim asks a lot of astute questions, and he has a lot of observations on a lot of things. And he's already on the committee we just talked about in the town, for downtown. He has a tremendous wealth of information and experience on this continent and on other continents. You lived in London for 27 years. And he liked it so much that he came back here, because you were here before.
Exactly.
And I like so many of his questions, and we would get into discussions, and I'm saying, this guy asks good questions, and he's got very astute points on things that we would wanna consider. So I think we've got a really good board member that can help us with the things that we wanna do. So Jim, welcome.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much for such kind words, I must say.
Well, I said for now.
Don't expect
That's
them
the,
again.
that's the end, Jim.
I just expect a lot of work.
Let me see here. We have a good amount of work to do with island companies. And, Tracy and I will get a hold of all of you, and with your help, decide how best to dissect that thing and put it back together, so that each of us can decide on what their position is and why, before we decide just what we're gonna do. And as you know, what's proposed by the applicant, that's their proposal. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna do that. We'll do what we think is best after strong deliberation. So, first of all, we'll do it at kind of as a workshop type of thing, and we'll see how that goes and how that fits with, our council. And, then we'll go on from there. So, right now, we're, probably set up for, well, what do we set up? Would they be ready for the next step?
Well, I shared with them the estimates on their request, so
Right.
they saw that.
Mhm.
And I haven't individually, reached out to board members to see their feeling on the application yet. So I
Well, that's part of
probably-
our process. So, you, Tracy, me, and, Dick Ehlers will chat about this, all right? And
Sure.
make sure that we're all in sync as to what we can do, if in fact it's proper, and we're not trying to hide behind anything. This is, anything that's gotta be public will be public, but first of all, you gotta know what you wanna say. You have to know more to say that. It's quite complicated, although a good company and it looks like a, so happy to have them here, so we're gonna help them in any way we can. And that, other than I'll see you all Thursday, looking forward to it. Anything else from anybody?
I just
Yes.
have one question. We have in the packet, the Economic Job Development Corp., there's a series of,
Yeah, that's this next meeting,
that's the next meeting.
yes, we have a meeting after this.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We're not finished.
Yeah, we
I
have to go to our,
I included the agenda for the New York State Economic Development Council's annual meeting. It's in January. I will request attendance at the December meeting. Should be the last page of your packet. It's still actually developing. But of course, that's always a productive,
I saw it's January 16, 17 or something.
yeah, and actually they're having an IDA section at the end of it.
Is this the Montauk one with the
No,
upstate?
this is Albany.
Albany.
thank you.
Oh, this is in Albany?
In January.
January.
Yeah, it's
It'll be a lovely
always an
trip.
exciting drive.
favorite
I don't know how they
No one
get
can-
anybody to go.
No one can really complain about this being, you know, a kind of a perk.
No,
By the way, I'm going also.
no. And,
And I've been there and said I'm not going anymore, but.
yeah, I
really
know, it's
should.
workforce development, I know,
And
so
the
everyone
impact of
take,
higher education.
yeah, so they're usually very good. They do have a new executive director so far, he's done, very well. So, you know, all our old conferences were under someone else, so we're just learning, you know,
Right.
how much information and the value of the speakers he'll have, but I always, as I said, walk away with
Sorry.
information.
Okay.
And, yeah, just let me know if there is interest,
I'll be out of town on January 15th. No, seriously, I'll be 2,000 miles south of Albany.
oh, very nice.
Sorry.
All right, that's it. Let's, wrap up this meeting.
And I
There's a dial-in
just,
option.
one last thing, we received the, what did I do, put it away?
You never heard of video conference?
The Empire Zone, annual reports, they're due by the end of December, no, they're gonna be sent to the companies by the end of December, so that is online. The deadline for them to report is February 15th, and the deadline for me to review them and report is March 15th. So it's like,
And how much longer do we have for this?
like probably 4 years.
4 years?
I think,
It's
I haven't
longer
looked at the
than I
number,
thought.
yeah.
But you have a lot less.
Huh, I'm sorry?
You have a
Well,
lot less in the
yeah,
way
we
of
have less every year,
active organizations.
graduates.
Graduates.
All
That
right,
would be
anything
nice to
else?
finish, no, that's it.
Okay. So let's adjourn this meeting, need a motion to adjourn,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
second? Anybody second?
Who was the second?
Bob,
okay.
All those in favor, aye?
6:42.
Meeting is done at 6:42. Now we're going to, go over to the Economic Job Development Corporation agenda. And we'll go through that. All right, let me call that to order at,
Nope, 6:43.
3, okay, that's good. So I need a motion to adopt the proposed agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All
Who was
those in
that?
favor, aye?
Aye.
First, second.
Okay, thank you.
I need approval of the minutes of, the meeting of October 15th, 2018.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, I need a second.
Second.
Any questions, observations? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
We approve the minutes, we have no correspondence. Mr. Treasurer, will you make your report?
Yeah, I need to,
You got rid of $500, right? Something else
it's
over here.
usually 250.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I lose it every single time, I lose the treasury report.
That's why I sit next to
I
you.
know,
Okay,
I knew you
so-
skipping through your papers, I was like, he must be refiled his report already.
Get it, okay,
Sorry, give the treasurer's report.
I
I did.
Oh, you did?
the balance.
Don't give it to him until he's ready.
In the LDC account as of November 30th, 2018 was $250. transfer was completed on November 1st, 2018. The transfer collection agreement fees in the amount of $500 to the IDA.
That's it.
Motion to approve the,
So move. Second.
Thank you.
Give me a second, please.
Oh, I thought you were the second.
Okay, I could do that, sure. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
That's approved. There's no committee reports?
No.
No old business? And the new business are the same, A through D are the same items for this organization as we approved before. So let's do it the omnibus way, take them all together, and remember.
Well, before you do that.
Sure.
I just, maybe it's just mine. One of them, I think inadvertently just has a typo on it.
Oh,
I think the one that authorizes the publication of a notice of a meeting
okay.
is 2319, and it probably should be 2318.
Yeah, oh, and I did it on the agenda too.
Okay.
Thank you.
One of us was aware, alert. All right,
Too much work.
so where are we on this? Do a, motion?
You can. They're all the same.
I'll make the motion
Thank
to
you.
approve resolution 22 through 25.
And the resolution on the notice of the meetings includes
Same,
what it
the March
sure.
25th.
Yep.
Yes.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Was that you, Anthony?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn?
second.
okay? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
6:46.
646.
That's.
Very
boy,
impressive.
boy.
Tight budget.
That was a 3-minute meeting.
That was
No,
the
that was
the
longer than
longest
that.
idea.